Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. There we go. Got to remember to turn the microphone on, everybody. All right, let's try this again. Hey, this is Patrick Flanagan here. I got a Ronin-SC a couple weeks ago and trying to find a cable to work with my set of cameras. Now, I bought the SC knowing that it probably wasn't going to work with my particular ones. A couple of old Nikon D5500s. But I figured it'll balance, it'll work. The cameras are light enough. I actually got the gimbal to balance properly with a 5500 and a 300 millimeter lens. Wasn't something fun to do, but hey, in a pinch it might work. So what I've been looking for the last couple of weeks is a cable that'll allow me to at least remote trigger the camera, so that you can use all the cool little apps and things that come with the Ronin-SC. Part of it is being able to do some of those remote things. So started with the search and kind of went backwards a little bit and took a look at my old PocketWizard setups and found this particular cable right here. Can you tell what it is? Yeah, it's a PocketWizard, which is a like 1/8 inch stereo jack on one end, to the wonderful elusive DC2 connector on the Nikon D cameras. I know that a bunch of the models have them, but PocketWizard actually has this cable. When I'm all done, I'll put the link to it down at the bottom. But it basically gets you from an 1/8 inch stereo connector to the DC2. Now, what do you need that for? Well, this end with the stereo connector actually plugs into the PocketWizard transmitter to remote fire the camera. Been using it for years while doing the still photography. I'd have one camera in my hand, I'd have another camera off to the side doing a wide shot, have the PocketWizard on the hut shoe, and it would remote fire the wide camera at the same time, so I'd get 2 shots at the same time. Worked out pretty cool for a couple of weddings I did. Anyway, this is the guy that goes into the camera. How do I put that into a Ronin-SC? Guess what? Ronin actually makes a cable that goes from the USB-C connector on the bottom of the focus drive system there to what they call the Fujifilm connector, which is a stereo mini. So it's a 2.5 millimeter. It's really, really tiny. This particular connector here is still stereo. There's a negative, positive to be able to handle a stereo output. But of course, this guy doesn't actually meet up with this guy because they're 2 different sizes. So really the trick was going to be, okay, I need to increase the 2.5 millimeter to a 3.5 millimeter, or 1/8, to be able to get me so that I can use an actual little barrel connector. Simply just a double-ended barrel from 1/8 to 1/8. Use them all the time in the audio world. And of course, that doesn't fit in there and stay, so that was going to be the problem. Looked around online, found a couple of different versions and people and so on that own it, but came across a 2.5 millimeter, which is what this is, to the 3.5 millimeter, which is the 1/8 inch jack, and that fits in there quite nicely. So I figured, guess what? Let's try this, and we're going to go from the Ronin cable to an expander, I guess, to the 3.5 millimeter, into the double barrel, from the double barrel into the PocketWizard cable, and that should work. That's what we thought too, exactly. It doesn't. Because somewhere in here, there's like a double negative circuit that needs to be tripped. So even though these are stereo connectors, the 2 parts of the stereo connector actually have to short out to the ground in order to actually make the connection. Couple searches online, you look for like Nikon DC2 pinouts, and really it's just supplying the voltage down the line on one, trigger down the other, and those 2 short to the ground, and that's what causes the camera to fire. So the stereo pieces need to really be joined to one before sending them down. And didn't realize that until I came across my other guy here, which is a stereo 1/8 inch to mono 1/8 inch. And really all it's doing is it's taking those two tips, or taking the left-hand side or one of the sides or whatever, and sending that right to the ground. So all you need is the connection from the tip. So basically add that into the lineup and add that one to the far end. And it's a pretty hideous cable looking down the line, but guess what? It works. I'll show it in a second. So basically I've got one cable coming out of the connector for the Ronin and one going into the camera, and now I can use the record button on the remote, the gimbal itself, and I can actually turn the camera on and off. Now, does that really help? Yeah, because now I don't have to reach up on top of the camera and push the button down in order to get it to work. But it also means that now I can remote fire it with the app. So if I take the app and do whatever pre-programming I want to it, say a time lapse, say I want to do a pan tracking, tracking me or tracking something else, or even just doing the wonderful little track setup, the record button now works. I've found a couple of guys online who claim to have solved this. I haven't seen in their descriptions any method of actually getting it to work. One was kind of, here's the pictures, and I think it was in Spanish, so I wasn't able to understand what he was really talking about. There was another one that seemed to be in another language that seemed to work and didn't seem to help out. I do want to give those guys credit because they sent me in the right direction, but really it was kind of a sort of happy accident because I didn't know I was going to need the mono piece, but once those all together and in the same lineup, it actually fires off. I've been able to, pull the whole thing apart, as you can see, and plug it back in together again and get it to work the way I want. So it's working out great. I'll let you guys know if there's anything more. One big tip I would suggest is make sure you get the end of the camera all the way in there. Blew about an hour or so messing with that because I didn't have it seated all the way and it just wasn't working. I didn't know why it wasn't working. So I'll leave the description for all these parts down in the lower whatever thing down here is. I'm new to this YouTube stuff, but hopefully this is going to help somebody out there who's got an old Nikon setup and just wants to get that record button to work. Of course, the correct answer will be, hey, DJI, we need one of these cables pre-made. That would be great. Or at least make something up that has a 1/8 inch, I guess, mono input or something, so that you can just plug these two together, and that would be awesome. At least maybe make one of these into a 1/8 inch jack so I don't need the extra converter. But either way, this does work. Hopefully DJI gets this as well, and maybe I'll get this posted up to their forums as well. And of course, like change. Aha! So thanks everyone. If this works out for you and you want me to try something, send me a link, send me a little comment down below, and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks, and have a great day.